Hello, I'm Brian Fox, your host here at I Hate Rock Music. And today's video is going to be about the band JODO. And good timing because it's actually finally been released on CD with a book with lots of information and even rare photos of them, which is really shocking because this is a pretty obscure band. So it's kind of funny after all these years to actually see pictures of them and then to find out a lot more about the band. I bought this album, JODO Guts, which was issued in 1970, and I got it in cutouts probably about 71 or 72, so it was already out of print. And I liked it pretty well. I liked it better over the years since I've listened to it more. I think I had higher expectations that it was going to be more like Budgie or something like that, because I was already into Budgie in 1970. And but the more I listen to the record, over the years, it's pretty strong, and I'll get into that more in a minute. One of the things that's odd is that they didn't gig very much, and it seems like a band like this would have had a lot of gigs. But the band was Rod Alexander on guitar and vocals, Brian Greenwood on drums, and John Taylor on bass, and then they had two vocalists, Bill Kimber on vocals and Earl Jordan on vocals, and one of them was black. And so that's unusual in itself, besides having two vocalists. And you can really tell, once I found out that one of the singers was black, when you listen to the record now, you can really tell when he's singing because he definitely has a lot different timbre. But Brian Greenwood, the drummer, and John Taylor, the bass player, were also in a band called Jasper that put out one album in 1969. So they had a little bit of history. And apparently the band was championed by Ritchie Blackmore, and so they ended up participating in the infamous Green Bullfrog record. And then because of Ritchie Blackmore's recommendation, they got signed to Decca, and they got treated to the big time, Delane Studios, where the album was recorded. And Derek Lawrence and Martin Birch were the ones who ended up producing and engineering the record. And they did a wonderful job, as you would expect. And apparently, this album was recorded in between them doing a couple of Wishbone Ash albums. And one of the other strange things about this record, too, is it was only released in the U.S. and New Zealand, even in 1971. And even though they were a British band, it's pretty odd that the record was never released in the UK. And so when the band broke up in about 72, or actually late 71, early 72. John Taylor, the bass player, went on to join Little Free Rock in their second incarnation, and Brian Greenwood the drummer, ended up showing up in Trifle and Moonrider. That Moonrider album is an interesting artifact. It's got John Weider in it, John Weider, and so he ended up sticking with a couple of relatively visible bands. And then after JODO broke up, Rod Alexander and Bill Kimber ended up in a group called Axe that released three singles on MCA between 1972 and 1973. So, as I mentioned, it's really great that after all these years, have some information on them because for most of my life, I had the record and I really didn't know much about it. And so now it's easier to kind of put it in place and know how it came about and what happened to them. So when you go through the songs, there's a lot of really good stuff on it. A lot of them are pretty decent heavy rockers, not like massive slabs of riffs, but real strong riffs and great guitar work, great guitar overdubs, and the work of the two singers is really nice, and they do good harmonies on some stuff too. But right at the beginning of the record, you get Nightmare, One Night Stand, and I'm Still Trying. They're all excellent heavy rockers with harmonies and great guitar overdubs. And then after that, it starts mixing it up a little bit more. What's Your Number and Rat Race and 17 all have pianos added to it. And there's even a pop section in the song Rat Race, but in the song 17. And overall, the record leans to the hard rock side. So in the middle of the record, there's stuff that mixes up a little bit, and a lot of UK bands kind of did that back then. So then the last part of the record ends with 4 songs. "Wish You Had Never Been Born," which was a promo 45, along with that song "Rat Race" that I mentioned, and it's a real heavy rocker with great guitars. And then "It's No Good," nice little rocker with great guitars. "Pushing," which has the piano work again, is a nice little rocker. And then it ends up with a real nice rocker at the end called "There's Still Time," with a lot of really great guitar work at the end. So like a lot of records, I think this one is strong enough. It's got at least 7 or 8 songs that are really worthwhile and really strong. And the more you listen to it, the more you enjoy it. And it sounds really good loud too. As I mentioned, it's produced really well, and everybody kind of delivers the goods. And a real solid rhythm section. And the songs are reasonably memorable. And it's kind of funny because they didn't do that many live shows, but they had one show where Richie Blackmore came up and played with them. I read an interview with Rod Alexander, and he talks about that being one of the highlights of the band. But to fill out their set, I had to laugh because to fill out their set at the time, they had their originals, but then they also did "I'm a Hog for You, Baby," "Roadrunner," "What I'd Say," and "Lottie Miss Claudie." So it's really kind of funny to think of a band that's pretty heavy like this playing a bunch of 50s tunes, 50s, 60s tunes. But there you have it. I wish I had more to say about JODO, but that's all there is. The one album, pretty strong. Definitely, I would call a third tier band, possibly a second tier band at their best. And once again, like so many of these bands, it would have been nice if they'd put out a second album in 1971 and really honed on to their excellent heavy rock work, which they no doubt would have done in 1971. So another missed opportunity. But there you go, JODO Guts, cool band, decent record, well worth checking out. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching.